So I don't know why, but I've just had this feeling lately that I just want to go to the Philippines, man. And I always told myself if I was going to go on another holiday, it won't be to the Philippines. Only because I've already been there 3 times and I haven't been anywhere else. So it was like, I've always told myself maybe it's time to experience somewhere new. But for some reason, throughout these last couple of weeks, I've just wanted to go back. Maybe it's because I've just been in hiding and for a long time, and I just want to get out. But at the same time, it's probably approaching 7 years since I've been on a holiday. So maybe I'm just like, it's time. Maybe I'm due, and in my head, I just want to go to some place that's familiar. But who knows, man? Who knows? But the crazy thing is, even when I go to the Philippines, people can't tell that I'm Philo. Well, in general, a lot of people can't tell that I'm Philo. And, when I go to the Philippines, even with my family, and, the locals would be talking to my relatives in Tagalog, they'll all of a sudden look over and see me. And they'll just start speaking in English, like they can tell I'm not from around there. But that's kind of just been the way it is. Obviously I'll have like a select few that can tell, but majority can't. Because I remember even back in school, they had it was a good mix. There was a lot of Filipinos, there was a lot of Lebanese. And that kind of goes for, I went to an all boys school, then the school next door was an all girls school, so that kind of goes for both schools. So, and I had a cousin in the school next door, and when I'd be speaking to her, and like this other person will be in the background, and my cousin's friend would go over and talk to that other person, and that girl would actually be like, "Oh, why is she talking to him?" And it'd be like, "Oh, well, they're cousins," and then that girl would be thinking, "Oh, but he looks like an Arab." It's like, what the fuck? Even one time when I was with my mates and my cousin walked past and said hello, and then the boys were kind of like, "Oh, who's that? Who's that?" And I'd just be like, "That's my cousin." And they'll be all like, "What the fuck? I thought you were Arab." It's like, "Nah, dude, I'm Philo." And even this one time, man, this fucking one time, I remember the very first gym that I joined, 155 in Rudy Hill. Fucking shout out, to the west. Obviously in that area, that's like a Filipino hotspot, right? So every time that I would train, I would always see this group of guys. Now they'd probably be in their late 30s, early 40s. I would always see them in the late mornings, late arvos or early arvos. So obviously they would always be doing their thing, they'd always be talking a lot. I could tell they were Philo, they looked Philo, and at the same time, they'd be speaking in Tagalog, so I could understand what they were saying. And none of them ever spoke to me, which is fine. But then all of a sudden one day when I'm walking to my car, one of the other guys is walking to his car, and we actually have the same car. So he started talking to me. When did I buy it? He's like, how much do I pay for service? Little shit like that. Then he eventually asked me like, "Oh, what nationality are you?" So I told him I'm Filipino. He's like, "Oh man, I had no idea." And the next time I see him, when he's working out and all of his mates are there, the little Filipino crew, and then he says hello to me. So then the other boys come say hello to me because and then one of the other boys is kind of like, what nationality are you? So I tell him I'm Filipino too. I tell him I'm Filipino. And he's like, "Oh, I see you here all the time, but I never spoke to you because I didn't realize you were Filipino." And you kind of be like, "Yeah, like not many people can tell I'm Filipino. I get that a lot." But in your head, it's like, "Damn, son, that's fucking racist. You didn't talk to me just because you didn't realize I was a Philo? Shit, whatever happened to being just a friendly person?" But at the same time, it's like, I understand what you're saying, man. Filipinos are just like that, so it's all good. Now that we know we're Filipino, we're both Filipino, now we're boys, and we go from there. So that's just the type of shit that they be doing, And even this one time when I started working at a gym, me and this other Filipino we started together, and we were doing training at this one place. And one of the girls there is like one of the staff members, she's like, "Oh, what nationality are you guys?" I'm like, "Oh, we're Filipino." And she's like, "Oh, this person will love you." And, he loves Philos. And it was like, "Why is that?" It's like, "Because he's Philo too." And it was like, "Oh, makes sense. And yeah, it's weird. Like, it kind of sounds racist, but Filipinos, they just have that thing, man. They just have that thing. You meet another Philo, all of a sudden, you're boys. You guys are connected. And obviously, I've met those few that are kind of like, I can't hang out. I don't get along with other Filipinos, for whatever reason. But, for the most part, you meet another Philo, that shit's just, all of a sudden you just have a deep connection. It doesn't even matter. And there was also this one time, like in this area, in the local area, it's like there's this outdoor strip, right? There's a few Filipino shops around there, or Asian stores. And in that area, a lot of people just hang out, man. There's a lot of benches, they just sit there, chill out. The older Filipino gentlemen just sit there, have a coffee, smoke a cigarette. Yeah, man, just hang out. And in that area as well, you've got those people that are always like, "Oh, do you have a spare dollar? Can I buy a cigarette?" That type. So one of my uncles is kind of like, we always used to see him hanging out there. And then at one of the family parties, my cousin asked him, "Does anyone ever ask you for a cigarette when you're hanging out there?" And he's kind of like, "Yeah." He's like, "But do you give them?" He's like, "No, I don't give them. But if they're Filipino, I'll give them." And he was like, "Oh, Tito, you're racist too." But at the same time, it's like, yeah, that makes sense. That's just such a Filipino thing to do. And don't get me wrong, man, I'm not trying to say Filipinos are racist, but because at the same time, I feel like all Asians are kind of like, Asians will be most racist towards other Asians, and it's just kind of like the way that it is. Yeah. And yeah, man, it's interesting because, but at the same time, man, Filipinos are fucking savage. Like the older Filipinos, the ones that have actually come here from the Philippines, they're fucking savage. Like, they won't hold back in the shit that I say, in the shit that they say. It's like older Filipinos, they can't tell if they're being rude or not, I feel. Because say you haven't seen your tito or tito in a while, and you've just fucking gained a lot of weight. If you see them, they're gonna tell you straight up. It's like, "Oh wow, you're fat now," And it's like, normally, if you don't have thick skin, that shit will fucking crush you inside. That shit will fucking scar you, for the rest of your life. That one time when your tito called you fat. But on the opposite end, if you're looking good all of a sudden, they see you, they'll be like, "Wow, sexy." And it's like, if that was me, I'd be like, "Tita, don't call me sexy. That's weird." But in my head, it'd be like, "Yeah, but keep calling me sexy because I didn't work this hard for your people not to notice." So that's the weird thing, man. They'll be like really, really rude or really, really nice. And just Filipinos, man, they just can't tell what they're doing. And I think Filipinos, they'll always be loyal to other Filipinos. Like, if you're like a Joe Coy or a Manny Pacquiao, I don't know what other high Filipinos there is, or whatever, like super, like worldwide famous Filos there are. But I guess if you're just either one of those two, they'll be like super loyal to you. So every time Manny Pacquiao fights in the Philippines, the whole country stops to watch, right? If you're, say, in an area in like Western Sydney, all the Filipinos are gonna flock to the fucking RSL and watch him. And the crazy thing is, all of a sudden, when Manny Pacquiao fights, all the Filipinos become boxers. They'll be given tips and everything. Once he's fighting, they'll be yelling out all these tips. "Come on, jab, jab. Oh, right uppercut, whatever." And all these fillers, they never had they probably never even had one boxing lesson. But all of a sudden, they all become experts when Manny fights. And that's why I kind of don't like to go to, the RSL or anything. I don't like to watch any fights with any other people because that type of shit annoys me. But yeah, man, Manny Pacquiao, he's kind of like the fucking he's just like their number one, you know. And if he was to actually run for president, he'd probably, they'd probably elect him. That's a fucking crazy thing, but they just hold him to that high standard. Just the Filipinos, they love him. And don't get me wrong, man. I enjoy watching Manny fight. I have a lot of respect for what he does, and he's good. Manny Pacquiao's a good fighter, but once he gets on the mic, it's kind of like, damn, dude, what the fuck, because you could ask the guy like 5 questions, and he'll probably answer like one of the 5. So you see his post-fight interviews, and the reporter will be like, "Oh, Manny, what do you think of the fight?" And he'll be all like, "I want to give thanks to my Lord Jesus Christ. The fight is very good. Yeah, it's a good fight. I like to fight. I've been fighting for a long time. I like to fight." It's like, well, Manny, what's next for you? "I play basketball. I like to play basketball. Me and you, we play one-on-one." And it's like, well, Manny, did anything in the fight surprise you? "Tonight I'll go home. My wife will cook me sinigang and pancit. Maybe afterwards I'll do karaoke. I have album coming out. I also play basketball." So, Manny, how long do you want to keep fighting? "Yeah, I'm going to go to the concert. Maybe I'll sing La Bamba. That's my favorite song. I like to do karaoke. Maybe I become singer, play basketball." And it's like, during the fight, you'd be like, "Yeah, Manny, get him, Manny, get him, get him." But then after the fight, once he jumps on the mic, it's like, "Oh, Manny, stop talking." But, it is what it is, man. Philippines, number one Philippines. What was I talking about? But yeah, man, I just think it's cool in a way, The Filipinos, they're just drawn to each other, and it's like, is that, I don't know, I don't know any other culture that's kind of like that, and yeah, it's like one of those things, man. When I was growing up, I was like, obviously I'm Filipino, so that means I like Filipino girls, and that's what I thought growing up. That was in my head growing up. I'm Filo, I've got to find a Filo. And then slowly over time, it was all of a sudden I was just like, I think it was this one hot Lebanese girl, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh shit, I like Lebanese girls all of a sudden. I don't like Filipino girls. I don't look at Asians. It's that was just me for years. Then even lately, it's like all of a sudden I found myself talking to this one Filo girl, and now I'm just like, what the fuck? How did that happen? Like, it's even surprised myself. But is it that thing? It's just, like I said, the Filipinos attract other Filipinos, and it's this weird connection that Filipino people have. They're just drawn to each other, and I can't explain it. It is what it is. Philippines number one. But yeah, I don't know, but shit, what else is going on in the world, But I feel like in terms of the upload schedule, look, I'm going to keep this week for Monday, Friday, but I don't know if we'll continue that way, because I feel like Friday, it's just kind of like the end of the week. People are just out and about doing their thing rather than listening to podcasts. So we'll give it another go this week, but that shit might change again. But obviously I'll keep you guys updated. But I'm going to continue on with these podcasts, man. I'm going to continue on with the podcasts. I want to keep them like a little bit shorter and sweeter as well. And, once this thing is over, which I feel like it'll be over soon, that's what I'm questioning, right? Because obviously we're in the stage 1 of everything reopening, and hopefully everything goes smooth. That way, even in the next 2 weeks, I feel like we'll be back to work. Well, I'll be back to work working. Man, I wish I was back at work fucking next week, but I'll be back at work working. Everything will be good, man. Everything will be good, and eventually I'm going to have other people on here, tell you about their stories, their lives, a little bit of motivation, a little bit of comedy, and that's how we do it here, man. But I'm gonna wrap this one up, man. So as always, man, I appreciate you guys. Thank you for listening, and be good.